Hello and welcome to another Plain Truths, and this week we're going to be talking about winglets. Joining me as always is the legend that is Captain Al. Hi Captain Al.
Hi Matt, how are things?
Yeah, very good, thank you, very good. Thanks
Good,
for agreeing to join us on another session of the Plain Truth. So, look, I feel like winglets are a new thing. I mean, they aren't a new thing, I suppose, because they have been around for at least 20 plus years. I'm sure you'll tell me. But, there was a time when there weren't winglets and then suddenly winglets appeared. So, really, what are they and what do they do?
Okay, well, yes, you're absolutely right. They are a relatively new occurrence. And basically, it's all about the sort of continuous evolutionary process of aerodynamic design. So if you think about the design of cars as we are now in 2021 versus how they looked, say, 20 years ago, you can start to see, oh, well, people are spending a lot of time in wind tunnels and, computer enhancement to try to make these cars more aerodynamic. So quite clearly, it's beneficial in aeroplanes as well. So if you go back, 30 years or so, time flies, no pun intended, wingtips just sort of kind of ended. They were just where the wing ended. It was just a natural curve. And then as the ability to simulate aerodynamic flow over wings became more and more possible with the power of computers, aerodynamics started to look at what actually happens to the airflow over the top of the wing, because of course we all know that aeroplanes fly by virtue of Bernoulli's principle. So you've got air flowing over the top of the wing, air flowing underneath the wing. One creates a low pressure area, high pressure wants to go to the low pressure area. That's what causes your lift. And I'm not going to go into any more detail than that because I'm not educated enough or scientific enough, but that's what we know. The upper surface of the wing has a greater length, if you like, than the lower surface because of the shape of it. So the top is curved and the bottom is typically flat. So therefore, air has to speed up as it goes over the top to arrive at the same point in time as the air that goes underneath. What they then started to look at is what happens along the length of the wing and what happens to the air at the end of the wing. And what they started to discover was that air flow was basically rolling over the top of the wing into the underneath, and that's undesirable. So, how do you stop something going somewhere that you don't want it to go? Well, you build a fence. So on the picture that's behind me, you'll see an A320, I think. And you'll see that on the wing tip itself, there is the wingtip fence. It's the little yellow bits that are pointy up and down. And in simple terms, they stop the airflow from coming over the top of the wing and underneath and vice versa. It's just a fence. So that's a very simple one that goes back to the original design of the A320 family. And then, it was discovered that, this is quite good. Now, one of the benefits of this, the primary benefit, is that if you are managing to create more lift out of the wing, then ultimately it's more efficient. And what are we all about? We're about saving fuel. So that's the driving force, is fuel efficiency. So then clever people with computers started to look at other shapes. And on the Airbus models, you'll see then that there's a particular point in time where we just go from simple wingtip fences into Sharklets. It's a bigger fence, basically. And that's all it's about, is that they worked out that actually, if we have a bigger fence, we can stop more of this air going in the wrong direction, and we can increase our fuel efficiency. And where you have, say, the Boeing product, well, they went from basically nothing to that kind of split wing that you see on the modern 737s. And also quite a huge sort of upper fence, if you like. Now, it all really revolves around, I suppose, aerodynamic paintants, how your wing is designed and, the exact specifications as to what sort of shape of fence. And I suppose you could say that there's an element of fashion. So everybody's trying to look for that unique style and to achieve the end result. So when we first had the big Sharklets on the Airbus, Airbus came out with a fuel-saving figure. And what we actually discovered in reality was that the fuel savings were greater than what Airbus had predicted at. Now, there is one drawback to having these big fences, winglets, Sharklets, similar to whatever you want to call them out on the wings. And that is when it comes to dealing with the aeroplane in a crosswind, because you've got quite a large vertical plane that the wind can get hold of. So it does make, in certain cases, crosswind handling of the aeroplane a bit more difficult.
Wow. Okay. So there's several different types. John very kindly sort of mentioned several. So you've got Wingtip Fence, as you mentioned, split winglets, Sharklets, and that. So are they literally just different designs of the same product? I mean, or are certain ones more suitable for different aircraft because of the size of them and things? So, for example, would you have a certain type on like a larger aircraft like an A380 versus what you'd have on the A320?
It's a difficult one because it all really revolves around the same end goal, to get more efficiency out of the wing. And it's a function then of, obviously there are sort of, if you like, patented or copyright shapes, because these are, highly valuable assets.
Well,
yeah. There's also the fact that with the major manufacturers, they're not going to copy one another, because that's almost an admission, well, that they got it right and we didn't. So everyone's going to go down their own avenues. And then it's, the design of the wing. So if you look at, say, for example, the A330 wing, it has a huge wingspan. So it's a very, very efficient wing. So it doesn't necessarily need the same sort of funky bits as a less efficient wing might need. Or indeed, when you get up to large wingspans where you're trying to limit the length of the wing, because ultimately you've got to maneuver it between, buildings and lampposts and that sort of thing. So you can't just go bigger and bigger and bigger with the wings. So, the new 777 has, bits that fold up. So it's got an extra long wing, but it has to fold them up for ground maneuvering. So one way that you could say that you make the wing a little bit bigger is, having quite big winglets on it, kind of extending the wing out slightly. But yeah, it's all a function of very, very clever aerodynamics and quite an evolving subject. And I have no doubt that when the next new aeroplane is rolled out, and I mean a completely new one, we'll see another funky shape, and your guess is as good as mine.
Well, as always, Al, comprehensively answered. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
If you'd like to watch more from our great series, then you can do that by pressing here. We've also created you a playlist with all the Plain Truth episodes, and you'll find that just here. Why not like and subscribe to our channel? That way you will be notified whenever we post our great content. Or if you've got a question that you'd like Captain Al to answer, then why not pop it in the comments box below, and you may well feature on an upcoming episode of The Plain Truth.